morning, dear students. This is your Sudha ma'am. Welcome to 6th session of lesson 3, that is transportation, the circulatory system. In our previous session, we have studied about evolution of transport system and blood pressure. We have observed a gradual development in the circulatory system from unicellular organisms to multicellular organisms, such as the protoplasmic movements, also known as Brownian movement in amoeba, and in sponges they create their own water currents by beating the flagellum for transportation, and in Coelenterata or Cnidaria the gastrovascular cavity helps in transportation, example hydra and jellyfish, and in Platyhelminthes a branched digestive system is there for transportation, example fasciola and tinea. Next, in Nematihelminthes the pseudocoelom, false coelom helps in transportation of substances, example ascaris. And coming to Annelida, first time a pulsatile vessel is seen in annelids, example earthworm, it pumps the blood. And coming to the arthropoda, pulsative organ called heart is there, and in addition to that open type of circulatory system, that is blood does not flow in vessels, it directly flows in the coelomic cavity. We have seen this character in arthropods, example insects. And finally, from Echinodermata, mollusca, Echinodermata and other higher animals and chordates, we have heart as well as the closed type of circulatory system. And we have also seen the gradual development of heart, like 2-chambered heart, 3-chambered and 4-chambered, etc. And in this session we are going to learn about transportation in plants. We have observed a well developed circulatory system in animals. Then what about plants? How the transportation of materials takes place? Is there any need of transportation system in plants? Yes, of course. Plants too need a transport system. Water, which is very essential for photosynthesis, is absorbed from soil by roots. From the roots, it has to reach to the leaves for photosynthesis. Like that, food is prepared in the leaves, which is distributed to all parts of the plant like flowers, fruits, tubers, stems, etc. So, definitely transport system is needed in plants. Like our blood vessels, plants also have two types of vessels for transportation. Those are xylem and phloem, together called vascular bundles. Xylem transports water and minerals from roots to other parts of the plant, whereas phloem transport the food material from leaves to needed parts of the plant. Let us discuss first about the transportation of water. As already told, it is by xylem vessels. Xylem transport water and minerals from roots to all other parts, and finally water is escaped out from stomata of leaves. From the roots, it is transported to the stem, and stem to the leaf, and leaves to the outside. It is unidirectional, that means only single way, that means roots to leaves. It cannot come down from leaves to roots again. Let us study the process in detailed manner. There is mainly two factors for the upward movement of water. One is root pressure and the second one is transpiration pull. Let us study about root pressure. There are two factors. One is root pressure and the second one is transpiration pull. Because of these two reasons, the water is transporting. from roots to stomata till stomata. Let us know about root pressure. All the plants contain roots, we know very well that, and every root has some fine microscopic extensions called root hairs, and these root hairs grow out into the spaces between the soil particles and are surrounded by moisture. We already know that in between soil particles, soil air and soil water are present. This soil water is an extremely dilute solution of salts. Soil water concentration is more dilute than that of the cell sap in the root hairs. Root hairs contain the cells, and in those cells what we call it as cell sap means nothing but water and other substances which are in the colloidal suspension. So, the cell sap concentration is comparatively more when compared to the water in the soil water concentration. Therefore, water will pass into the vacuole of the root hair by osmosis. What is osmosis? Already we learnt in our 9th class. The movement of water from higher water concentration to the lower water concentration through a semi-permeable membrane is called osmosis. High water concentration to lower water concentration, or you can say that dilute solution to concentrated solution through a semi-permeable membrane is called osmosis. The entry of water dilutes the contents of the root hair vacuole. So, the water enters into the cells of the root hair vacuoles of the cells of the root hair. So, that it becomes more dilute than its neighboring cell. Then the particular cell becomes more dilute. By the entry of this water, it becomes more dilute than its neighboring cell. So, the water passes into the neighboring cell, which in turn becomes diluted. Like this process from one cell to another cell, because of osmosis, the water passes and ultimately it enters into the xylem vessels. Like this, vast number of root hairs and root cells involved, a pressure in the xylem vessels develops which forces the water upwards. This total pressure is known as root pressure. Root pressure is not the main cause of movement of water in xylem, but it is certainly one of the factor. It is not the main cause, but it is also one factor. Before learning about the second factor, that is transpirational pull, let us perform an activity which demonstrates that root pressure is necessary for transportation of water in plants. Take a regularly watered potted plant and cut the stem portion 1 centimeter above the ground level. Then connect a glass tube by means of strong rubber tube as shown in the figure. Take care that the size of the glass tube should be equal to the size of the stem. We should take care while joining the glass tube and stem being bound tightly so that water cannot escape from the tube. Here we are tying the glass tube to the stem as a continuous portion and by using a rubber tube, and care should be taken that water should not leak out. Pour some water in the glass tube until water level can be seen above the rubber tube. Mark the water level in the tube, that is M1. Keep the apparatus aside for 2 to 3 hours without disturbing it. Then observe and mark the water level in the tube, that is M2. There is an increase in the water level in the glass tube. The difference between M2 and M1, that is M2 minus M1, indicates the level of water raised in the stem. From this activity, we can conclude that the increase in the water level is due to root pressure. Now, moving on to the second factor, that is transpiration pull. Root pressure pushes water upwards by few meters and is enough to supply water to the leaves in small plants and small trees. But what about the tall trees like eucalyptus, in which are 180 meters high? What about redwood trees of California, which are nearly 100 meters height? And root pressure is not sufficient to supply water to such heights. In addition to the root pressure, another factor, that is transpiration pull, is there to transport water in plants. First of all, what is transpiration? The loss of water in the form of vapor through stomata of the leaves is called transpiration. And through lenticels also transpiration takes place. Lenticels are the pores which are present on the stems. So, through the lenticels also transpiration takes place. We can observe the process of transpiration in plants by the following activity. Take a potted plant, select one branch and insert the branch into a polythene bag and tie it tightly, as shown in the figure. After 2-3 hours, we can observe water droplets in the polythene bag, and this water is nothing but the transpired water from the plant. The water that comes out as a water vapor because of transpiration from that particular branch. When the leaves transpire, there is a pulling effect on the continuous columns of water in the xylem vessels. The top ends of the xylem vessels are surrounded by leaves, mesophyll cells, which contain cell sap. So, water is continuous from xylem vessels to the walls of mesophyll vessels of leaves, from which it evaporates into the air, causing a pull. The water column does not break because of its molecular attraction. The same property we can observe when drinking a juice or cool drink by using a straw. This transpiration pull results in a continuous column of moving water, the transpiration stream, from xylem vessels of root to the stem and to the leaves. Transpiration pull is the main factor for the transportation of water and minerals, whereas root pressure is a secondary factor. Let's have a quick summary of today's session. Today we have learnt transportation of water in plants. That's all for today. Meet you in the next session. Thank you.